In the 10th, Jeremy. Jeremy is probably the biggest troll name in Scott's arsenal, being used for at least 3 separate characters in the series: Jeremy, the missing child, Jeremy Fitzgerald, the night guard from FNAF 2 that gets promoted to day shift, and the Jeremy that tested FNAF VR before Tape Girl that was driven insane by Glitch Trap. However, the missing child version of Jeremy, presumably the first Jeremy, chronologically speaking, goes on to possess the Bonnie animatronic. This is an interesting detail because Withered Bonnie first makes their appearance in FNAF 2, and this would be the version that was possessed by Jeremy, because the older models were then retired, then became withered, but also terrorizes the new Night Guard Jeremy. Withered Bonnie, however, is also missing his face, which also ties him to FNAF VR's Jeremy, who cuts his own face off using a paper guillotine after Glitch Trap drives him insane. I don't know if it was totally intentional, but knowing Scott, it definitely wasn't a mistake. And at 9, Susie. Yes, putting Susie first was intentional, and yes, it was because she was the first and has seen everything. Susie was William Afton's first victim. At least we think she is, if we are indeed correct about her being the soul that possesses Chica based on the gravestone ending from FNAF 6 and the head placements from FNAF 3's good ending. However, we do know that as Golden Spring Bonnie, Afton lured Susie to the back room with promises of her dog, who had recently died, as we learned from the Fruity Maze minigame, the FNAF novels, and the Ultimate Custom Night high school scenes, which also included Toy Chica, so we're pretty certain about the whole head placement and gravestone thing. After being lured away, she was promptly killed and stuffed into the Chica animatronic, which she would then possess after the puppet gives gifts and gives life, allowing their agony to take control of the animatronics. And at 9, Fritz. Fritz is also one of the original 5 missing children, with Fritz going on to possess the Foxy animatronic, which is already ironic given that both their names start with an F and are shorter than the other names, but not much else is known about Fritz. There used to be a theory that Fritz was a good guy who wanted to help the player in the first FNAF game, thanks to Foxy's not-in-your-face jump scare. However, that was disproven in Ultimate Custom Night during an April Fool's update, where Foxy's mechanics were changed to instead block one of the doors. This was proven to be a joke since the other mechanics had a phone guy and Springtrap connected, referencing the phone guy's purple guy theory, as well as Nightmare Freddy causing you to wake up from your nightmare, alluding to Dream Theory, both of which are also wrong. And at 7, Gabriel. Gabriel is probably the most popular soul out of the original 5. Well, not in a community sense, since we all know the other names way more, with Susie being the first, Jeremy being used countless times, and Fritz being a fan favorite. Rather, he's the most popular in an in-universe sense, since Gabriel goes on to possess Freddy, the mascot of the company. The man who has more variants than Loki, with like over 20 different versions or something like that thanks to FNAF AR Special Delivery. Anyway, like Fritz, there isn't much we really know about Gabriel, aside from maybe some novel counterparts, since the only real potential description from the novels could also be talking about Jeremy, and is just based on Crying Child as we see him in FNAF 4's minigames. I actually want to count out the different versions of Freddy just so you know, okay? So let's do it together, shall we? We have Freddy, Golden Freddy, Fredbear, Nightmare, Nightmare Fredbear, Nightmare Freddy, Toy Freddy, Withered Freddy, Funtime Freddy, Glamrock Freddy, Helpy, Yendo, Shadow Freddy, Rockstar Freddy, Ned Bear, Twisted Freddy, Molten Freddy, and Lefty. That's 18 without counting the various special delivery skins, which adds another 7, including Frost Bear, Shamrock Freddy, Black Ice Frost Bear, Aeronaut Toy Freddy, Woodland Toy Freddy, Firework Freddy, and VR Toy Freddy. Fun. And at 6, Jake. Jake is a character who first appeared in the Fazbear Frights epilogues as a ghost inside the Stitch Wraith. He has a frail and bony body and grayish skin. He has sunken cloudy green eyes and has a bald head due to the treatment for his brain tumor. He also has dark circles around his cheekbones. Before the brain tumor, he had a round freckled face with bright green eyes, a big smile, and tangles of brown curls usually falling under his eyes. Kinda like me in elementary school. Jake is a very nice kid and grateful to the people who help him, despite the situation he's in. He likes to make friends and is patient with others. However, Jake will resort to violence to protect those he cares about. Which I mean, like, I feel is kind of understandable, like in the right circumstances though. Like obviously not if they're not in any actual physical danger, but I mean, like, when given the power you have in the Stitch Wraith, and the inability to be prosecuted for your actions, I guess the agony kinda like takes over and lets you just pile drive that 12-year-old that keeps calling you names into the concrete. Halfway through, and at number 5, Andrew. Andrew is another character who first appeared in the Fazbear Frights books, but wasn't named until he was the second ghost inside the Stitch Wraith. He's the main antagonist of The Man in Room 1280, the third story in the fifth Fazbear Frights book, Bunny Call. He is a young boy with curly black hair and rosy cheeks. He wears a cheap alligator mask that covers his face, and in The Man in Room 1280, he is described to have a devilish grin. After William's explosion at the end of The Man in Room 1280, Andrew goes on to possess the Stitch Wraith alongside Jake. This possession is where the idea that multiple souls can share a vessel came from, and is the start of the belief that Golden Freddy shares two souls. In it for the fun times. The Funtime Animatronics are an interesting group that I decided to put together on this list, mostly because they are grouped together in the games as well, and by that I do mean soul-wise. As revealed in the FNAF novels, the Funtime Animatronics were made with, or at least enhanced with, the metal endoskeletons of the original 5 animatronics: Freddy, Bonnie, Foxy, Chica, and Golden Freddy. These endoskeletons were also melted down all at once, meaning all of their metal was combined, like how the guy on TikTok combines various different drinks and then just chugs it. The only issue with this was that these endoskeletons were all infused with the agony in the souls of the missing children, which stayed infused while being melted down, since they were melted, not burned. This resulted in the creation of remnant that was incredibly, well, unstable. But not in the typical sense like how uranium is unstable, but rather combining all that agony created one hell of a monstrosity and battle of anger, especially while these parts were separated. Hence why they had to recombine in sister location to become Ennard, and why they kicked Baby out. She didn't have one of the missing children, she had another soul, so they didn't really need her to be whole. And that's pretty horrifying when you think about it like that. And at 3, Charlotte. Ah yes, Charlotte. While not the first victim like we first thought, Charlotte is definitely the catalyst that kicked off everything we know about this series. While William did the killing, Charlotte did the animating. Yes, the agony suffered by the missing kids allowed their suits to be possessed, but Charlotte as the puppet was the one who first tapped into this power, allowing her to share it with the others. As we see in the Give Gifts, Give Life minigame from FNAF 2. That one is actually from FNAF 2, not like my theory video. Charlotte, while alive, was Henry's daughter, Henry being William's business partner and co-owner of Freddy Fazbear's. After multiple instances of missing children at the restaurant, Henry installed a security puppet that was set to focus on a green bracelet using special code that he gave to his daughter. However, this did little good when the puppet was trapped inside its box and Charlotte was stuck outside in the rain. That's when William struck, leaving her dead body in the alley. Yet somehow the puppet got to her, allowing them to become one, and keeping part of her alive. At least in a sense, for a while she tried to help her father put an end to William's schemes, hence why we can see the puppet in FNAF 3. Either that, or because Henry lured her there to try to set her free. Eventually, she makes it to the FNAF 6 simulated pizzeria, being captured by Lefty and brought to the alley behind the pizzeria, where she finally is released after some kind and loving words from her father. It's kinda weird, seeing how much Henry loves his daughter kinda makes me want a kid, but like, that kid is also dead in the game, so it doesn't make me want a kid. It's conflicting. In it too, Elizabeth, the first of the Afton kids to meet a grisly fate. After being warned by her father to stay away from Circus Baby, Elizabeth didn't listen. Typical kids. On the first day of Circus Baby's Pizza World, Elizabeth finds herself alone with Baby and ends up getting a little more than a scoop of ice cream, getting scooped by Baby and instantly crushed, resulting in the pizzeria being closed down on day 1 due to gas leaks and Circus Baby getting possessed, indicated by her eyes changing from blue to green. However, that's not where this story ends. In fact, it only just begins. Because in the FNAF novels, it's revealed that Charlie, Henry's daughter from the books, is a robot that thought she was human. In fact, it's the oldest of 4 robotic versions Henry built when she died at the age of 3. Why am I bringing up Charlie, you ask? Well, because as it turns out, in the books, the adult robot Charlie is also the Circus Baby animatronic, who can change appearance at will using small pins covering her body. So, this character is simultaneously Charlie, Circus Baby, and Elizabeth Afton, all at once, which is absolutely insane and certainly deserving of the number 2 spot. I mean, it should be number 1, but you'd get mad if number 1 wasn't. And at number 1, Cassidy. Cassidy, the final of the missing children, the one who got stuffed into Golden Freddy. This character is, at least based on my previous theory, the only soul possessing Golden Freddy. Click up in the top right corner to check that out. Cassidy is described in the novels as a young girl with long black hair, which is also the description of the only human to appear in the logbook, drawn fully in color and not by Mike. The name Cassidy was coincidentally discovered through this book as well, when a Reddit theorist going by username DPowerful1 took wrong numbers from various pages, 5 and 2, 3 and 9, 1 and 5, 7 and 2, 9 and 3, 10 and 11, and 8 and 11, and put those in a word search as, in essence, coordinates to find the letters C, A, S, S, I, D, and Y, which has got to be the most difficult name reveal in the history of name reveals, Scott. Like, this is how people end up burning down forests while trying to find out the biological sex of their baby. Like, this is the kind of thing that people start wars over. If Donald Trump had been a FNAF fan, this would have caused World War III, I'm telling you. And at 10, Glamrock Bonnie. I think the freakiest part about Glamrock Bonnie is just the fact that they're not going to be in the game. So far as I know at least, the only mention of Bonnie will be a bowling alley that we probably aren't gonna get to use. But for the most part, like with the rest of these animatronics, the designs aren't scary. Well, aside from the Minecraft model. Like, what's with people and making Minecraft animations for FNAF characters? And like, FNAF, I don't understand it. I'd also like it to be noted that instead of animations, I spelled animatronics when I was writing that list initially, and I also did it again while writing this line. That's how much FNAF has taken over my life. I can't write animation anymore. So I hope you people are happy. But either way, these versions, aside from one version from a Twitter user called Manute Art, aren't really all that menacing. But the idea that people are creating additional animatronics is scary enough for me. Because I don't want to deal with the additional lore that would come from that, okay? And at 9, FNAF 2020. These Glamrock animatronics are from the FNAF 2020 series of drawings from DeviantArt user Senior Artsy, who I believe we've seen on this channel before in some other fan versions videos. However, I don't want to call out one animatronic specifically, but rather the whole collection of Glamrock versions from this 2020 set, because while yes, these animatronics will mostly be in the game, with the exception of some like Bonnie, these color palettes and designs are much more sinister than their previous versions, especially Vanny and Freddy. Since giving Freddy a panda face, I don't know why, but just for some reason makes me kinda scared of him, and I think it's because the rest of his body isn't a panda, and it's just his face, so it's like he's wearing a mask and gonna rob you or something. I don't know the psychology behind it, but I think we can all agree, especially that Vanny looks like she should not be playing in a kid's game. And at 8, Glamrock Foxy. Speaking of not wanting to deal with additional lore, Glamrock Foxy would also add a lot of unnecessary amount of annoyance to the game. At this point, Roxy is basically the love child of Foxy and Bonnie, and even has a name that kind of reflects on the whole like meant to be Foxy thing, since Roxy is just a combination of Rock and Foxy. Like, it's also an actual name, but I figured I'd mention that it's basically a combination of the two words, and she plays guitar, and so there's a link to Bonnie. However, the main issue with this comes from the fact that Foxy is just, it's scarier than Bonnie. I know all you die-hard Bonnie stans are gonna come for me, and I get that Scott had nightmares about him, but honestly, there's just no contest between these two characters. Foxy is scarier than Bonnie, and that means that his Glamrock would end up being scarier as well, especially if you take the toy animatronics as an example. The Glamrocks are very close design-wise to the toys, so keeping that in mind, the toy variant of Foxy is still scarier than Bonnie's. Case closed. And at 7, Roblox. I looked up Glamrock versions of characters, and somehow I kept getting loads of different Roblox versions of the FNAF animatronics. And this is goddamn terrifying for me. Why do you ask? Well, because it's Roblox. I don't like Roblox. The only good Roblox game is paintball, and that's it, okay? Anytime we talk about Roblox, I feel an overwhelming sense of dread wash over me, because ever since that list about like the worst things that people did on Roblox or something along those lines, I've seen the Roblox community as horrifically toxic and just something I can't really stand. Especially with the comments on like that one time I played Roblox on the channel and everyone got mad at me for just playing paintball, but like, that environment combined with FNAF, which is already the bane of my existence at this point, and you get some pretty horrifying experiences that I don't want to deal with. And at 6, Withered Glamrock Freddy. I've said it before, Withered animatronics are probably some of the weirdest and creepiest animatronics there are. I personally find Withered Bonnie way creepier than Nightmare Bonnie, probably because of the whole lack of a face thing. But with the new Glamrock animatronics on their way in a month, it was only a matter of time before someone withered them. Searching Withered Chica only really gets you pictures of like Chica from the Broken teasers and the trailer, so instead I'm going with Withered Glamrock Freddy because these are creepy as hell. Every version of Withered Glamrock Freddy makes me concerned that we're climbing into his belly to pilot him like some really energy inefficient mech suit. Like, thinking about it, that's a really bad idea. This guy not only looks scary, but also made me realize the error of Gregory's ways, which makes him even worse. When we ultimately do get crushed at the end of this game, I'm calling it now so that when it does happen I can say I called it, this is how I imagine Glamrock Freddy looking. Or Or if this is post FNAF 3 and the company has been ruined, maybe this is what the animatronics look like, except they're using those sound illusion discs to make us think otherwise. Halfway through in at number 5, Glamrock Puppet. Again, every time I make a list about discussing creepy animatronics, a freaking puppet always makes it on. That's mostly because the puppet is a freaky character to begin with, and I feel like the phone guy whenever I call the puppet creepy, but it is creepy. And the Glamrock Puppet is no exception. This character wasn't originated in the Furry's Rage game like I figured it would be, but instead it's just like a separate design that no matter what just looks like it wants to bring me to the back of the pizza joint to show me how the pepperoni gets put on the pizza. And no, I don't mean literally. Yes, that was an allusion to something else. And not only does it come with its own creepy ass concept art, but it also comes with Minecraft skins, because of course it does. This is one of the weirdest versions of the puppet, not taking into account Scrap Puppet, Withered Puppet, or Reaper Puppet from Final Nights 3. This is like the 4th weirdest and scariest puppet, and there's nothing really scary about it. It feels wrong to me, and the whole pepperoni thing. And at 4, Glamrock Plush. Okay, so technically these are official and licensed plushies, so they're not really fan-made, but there are other versions on Etsy that are actually fan-made, so there are some fan-made versions. And honestly, those are the ones that you should be getting, because look at these fucking things. Why are the Glamrock Security Breach plushies so funky looking? They look horrible. Like, this was actually so much of an issue that many people had with these plushies that it caused a bit of an uproar within the community when they were first revealed. Not only that, but because, you know, Funko has a history of just leaking everything for some reason, and they don't look like the other plushies that they've released before. Like, if you're gonna make real plushies, at least make them look the same as they did in the VR game, so that we can like actually really see them and hold them, because we've already seen them before. It's not that hard, guys, really. These Security Breach Glamrock plushes are some of the worst proportioned and most horrifying plushies I've seen. And I saw the one that Scott Lang gave to his daughter in Ant-Man, and the bloodthirsty minion my father gave to my sister. These are still the most horrific ones that I've seen, though, okay? If I had these, I would be scared for my life. Although, mentioning that, they are on my Amazon wish list, so if you guys want to... I'm just kidding, I don't have an Amazon wish list, I'm not a girl. Getting close to the end, into number 3, Blacklight Glamrocks. Some of the Blacklight versions of Glamrock animatronics are absolutely horrifying. While I'm not sure if the plushie versions are official products, the fan blender versions for the characters are freaking nuts. Chica with blue skin is not only off-putting, but actually haunting. Same with a yellow Roxy. These are like if the Glamrock animatronics were Pokemon, and then like these were the shiny versions of them. So far, the only Blacklight animatronics that we know of are the ones from Help Wanted that only really appeared in the animatronic maintenance minigames in Blacklight mode, but that were never used again and that we don't really get to see. It's terrifying to think about the lore implications as well. Like if this place turns off the light at night, but then turns on like a black light or something, like how do they change color? How are they not just neon whatever their color is? Because these peeps are colorful as hell. So why not just glow your own damn colors? See, my head is starting to hurt even just thinking about these things. Just please, keep them away from me. And ultimately, in at number 2, Nightmare Glamrocks. Nightmare animatronics are designed to be the scariest versions of their respective animatronics, and that's why there are so many fan-made versions, because while elements like rugged exosuits and stomach mouths are common, you can really just head anywhere, same with scrap versions. However, these Nightmare versions are something else. Considering their original pristine appearance in the trailers and promo images, well, with the exception of Chica, there is a stark contrast between the two versions. They seem to be just the ultimate nightmare aesthetic going on with these characters, specifically. I don't know why these animatronics specifically make me think that way, because maybe it's because like Glamrock Chica is my babe, but now she's not, but like even still. Glamrock Bonnie isn't even a thing yet, but their Nightmare Glamrock version is scarier than their normal Nightmare version. Stay away from these, don't look them up, although you've already seen them because it's in the edit. So, I'm sorry. And finally, in at number 1, Scrap Glamrock Animatronics. With Security Breach releasing in less than a month, we had to include a group of animatronics as scrapped versions on this list. And honestly, it's actually a good idea, considering how Chica in that promotional image seems pretty scrapped already. They really wouldn't have to do much to make that work out. However, the versions that I've actually seen are scarily horrific in a way that makes me concerned if they'll be in the real game. I don't think these would be in the game, but based on my old theory that I had about how these characters are kind of acting like zombies and like eating animatronic, or I guess not animatronic, but like other robotic parts, this look just makes me feel too right. Especially when we see in the trailer Chica getting progressively more destroyed. I feel like this might actually end up being a thing. These animatronics being made into scrap animatronics are honestly some of the freakiest custom scrap versions that I've seen. This is some freaky scrap. I tried to stay away from anything like that was like too pristine, I guess. Cause like what I used to do in previous alternate fan version videos was just look up adjectives. Like if it was like scary nightmare and like fan versions, I would just look up like withered nightmare, something else nightmare. I would just add that. I would just add adjectives to nightmare's name. So I tried to avoid that this time, but scrap and nightmare are always a classic way to go, okay? If there's gonna be a Halloween update for this game though, Scott, or I guess Steel Wool at this point, you need to add these. That would be fun. And at 10, Grim Chica. The first Springlock victim in the Final Nights series, Grim Chica is a primary antagonist in Final Nights 3 Nightmares Awoken. Unlike the others, she is not a Reaper animatronic. Grim Chica holds a strong appearance to the Springlock suit on the poster for the Night 3 cutscene, but her face plates are very hard to spot. And she's also almost entirely purple. The glowing accents inside of her resemble a human corpse. She lacks a bib unlike the original Chica. Her overall body is very slim like the original toy Chica, except for her hips, which appear to be much wider for birthing purposes, and she lacks shoulders or upper arms, with her forearms protruding from her armpits. Grim Chica is also revealed to be a Springlock victim in the museum levels, saying, quote, "A victim of a Springlock failure, forever forced to haunt the suit she was wearing. Now being manipulated by your sister and mother. Tried spray on tan, still very pale." I relate to that. No matter what I do, I'll always be pale and pasty, okay? But I'm fine with that. However, while she is also a Springlock victim, she's in the suit that she was wearing, therefore she is a Springlock animatronic. Alright, so I'm like, come on. I mean, I'll also be like, what did you do to my girl Chica? Like, I'm sorry, Mommy Kentucky. I didn't mean to. These are transgressions. Keep my wife's name! And at 9, Grim Fredbear. Grim Fredbear is one of the antagonists of Final Nights 3 Nightmares Awoken. He is only active on Night 5 and is found in the left hallway. Grim Fredbear resembles the normal Golden Fredbear, only with his suit glowing a deep purple color while the interior of the suit glows a bright white. His upper face appears to be torn off, including his eyes, leaving an empty, hollow, gaping hole in its place. That sounded weird. The inside of the mask, though it appears like there is nothing inside, actually conceals a white, pale human head that can only be seen during his jump scare. And before you ask, yes, it's mine. This animatronic is clearly meant to be a reference to Shadow Freddy and the theory that these Shadow animatronics were Springlock victims, which is later confirmed by Scott to be false when stating that only William was a victim of a Springlock failure. But in the museum level of this game, which unlocks after Night 5, it is also revealed that Grim Fredbear is a Springlock suit, saying, quote, "Another Springlock failure victim, the second generation of Fredbear." And at 8, Golden Call. As a human when alive, Golden Call's name was Kyle. However, now he is a Springlock victim stuck inside a Golden Freddy Springlock suit. Golden Call has the typical run-down Springlock suit vibe, similar to Springtrap. However, this is much more gruesome. His left ear is bent, he has bugs coming out of basically every hole in the body, human eyes are hanging out of the animatronic's eye sockets, just dangling there, like my grandfather's tie. He's missing an exosuit on his right foot, and the character is holding a flesh-colored, at least flesh-colored, it might even be flesh-made phone in his right hand that stays stuck to his head via more flesh and blood strands connecting it. Yeah, it's gross. It's a monstrosity. And looking at the age on the wiki, Kyle was only 5 years old when he got spring-locked, which is absolutely just horrible. God, that sucks. That would be rough. I would be offended if that happened to me. Like, yo, I'm only 5. What did I do to deserve this? And at 7, Am I Real? Am I Real, also known as Cake Bear, is presumably the primary and most recurring antagonist in Dormitibus. Am I Real has 2 different forms. His first form is Cake Bear. Cake Bear's design originated from the Save Him minigame, where he delivered cake to children while a child is killed outside. He is also the predecessor to both Fredbear and Freddy Fazbear. Cake Bear is a brown bear animatronic that also acts as a Springlock suit that appears in most of the main Nights. Although they look slightly similar, the only similarities that he has to Freddy Fazbear is that they're both bears, and they wear a top hat, are brown, and have blue eyes. That's about it. Am I Real's second form is am I real? And is a form that resembles Springtrap. This form has a green color much like Springtrap and contains human remains, because of course it does. His right eye socket has gotten bigger on the side and a big hole can be seen on the right side of his head. His top hat has received some withering on it as well, and his lower jaw is slanted and worn down. No longer circular like Cake Bear's. He has a sizable hole in the right side of his torso, revealing organs inside. Rips and tears also cover his arms, revealing even more human remains. He appears to be missing at least one finger on his right hand and is absolutely terrifying to look at. Of course, a decent amount of these are going to be from Dormitibus, because like, have you seen the Dormitibus animatronics? They're just horrifying. Speaking of which, in at number 6, Garvey, a psychopathic, cold-blooded killer. He stopped being human long ago. That's how Garvey is described in the extras of Dormitibus, the game from which he hails. Garvey is the penultimate antagonist to Dormitibus, and as a human, he was a man who killed the missing children, and later went on to get trapped in Spring Bonnie, becoming Springtrap, and then was burnt to a permanent death in the Fazbear Frights fire. That's where these two differ, okay? Garvey is a much more gory version of Springtrap from FNAF 3, and one that actually dies. However, it is not William Afton, as this game was released before the name reveal, so even before FNAF 4. Springtrap, but with hardly any exosuit or animatronic casing, whatever you want to call it, right? He crawls on all fours, uses his left hand as a foot and his left foot as a hand, like some demon crab thing that I did not want in my life. Okay, like, just look at this thing and tell me that it's right. You'll be lying. You're wrong if you think that this is okay. Halfway through into number 5, Bread Bear. Bread Bear is an animatronic coming from the Day Shift at Freddy series, who was created by Dave by modifying a Fredbear suit. The character appears in Day Shift at Freddy's 1, 2, and 3. Bread Bear's appearance is oddly similar to Fredbear, albeit wider, I guess because of the gluten. He is a golden colored bear animatronic wearing a purple top hat and bow tie, and 2 black and white buttons on his chest. He has gray metallic eyes, thicker arms and legs, a squarish brown nose, small brown pupils, small white teeth, round ears, with the insides being a lighter shade of color, and a very circular shaped stomach with brownish shades scattered amongst it. He has rips around his feet joints and arm joints, and he appears for real when Dave modifies an empty Fredbear suit and unleashes it during the Sting operation on Friday, in which, depending on which route you took, it either attempts to kill Jack, dies, or it destroys the entire pizza joint and then sets itself on fire. And you know what? We love that. We love the chutzpah. That's the kind of tactics we need in this cutthroat animatronic world. Coming in at 4, Shadow Spring Bonnie. Shadow Spring Bonnie is one of the 2 primary antagonists of Final Nights 2. He is also one of the final animatronics in that game. Shadow Spring Bonnie resembles Springtrap, as to be expected when mentioning Springlock suits, and similar to Springtrap, he lacks the suit on his feet and has the majority of his right ear missing. But overall, he has rips, but is not really missing any limbs or parts at all, which is a stark contrast to the burnt animatronics from the first 4 nights of Final Nights 2. His face glows white, which is notable when he is in the hallway, but also gives him a more sinister appearance, and pushes the something supernatural idea that most of these animatronics have, well, the shadow ones at least. Like Shadow Bonnie from FNAF AR, okay? It's something like the Winchesters are gonna have to hunt. Well, Winchester. Shadow Spring Bonnie takes on the role of Burnt Freddy and Burnt Foxy on night 5. He is very fast, so the player must seal the vent quickly, otherwise they'll get jump scared, and he can also appear in the hallway. Never use the flashlight though, or you will get insta-gibbed. Also, if he appears in the hallway, inspect his face, okay? If he's twitching, close the door, then a rattling sound will let you know when he's left, but if he's not twitching, don't. Okay, the fact that you need to look at his face to actually like kind of focus on it just makes him worse, okay? I don't like looking at faces, okay? I'm an antisocial person. Getting close to the end, in at number 3, Reaper Spring Bonnie. Reaper Spring Bonnie, however, is the opposite of Shadow Spring Bonnie. This Reaper variant appears in Final Nights 3 and 4 and is an absolute monstrosity, but is definitely more terrifying in Final Nights 4, okay? He is 100% the scariest animatronic in those games. In essence, Reaper Spring Bonnie is a nightmare Springtrap. He has sharp teeth and a very damaged and withered body. His suit is a dark yellow in color. He sports a big purple bow tie on his upper chest, kind of like Glitch Trap does, which is ironic given that this released first, I'm pretty sure. And like other Reaper animatronics, Reaper Spring Bonnie has a pair of hollow dark eyes, kind of like my ex. In Final Nights 4, however, his appearance is much more disfigured and gruesome, with sharper teeth, sharper claws, a different jaw, growths resembling kind of shoulder pads made of fungi, and a gooier appearance overall. He's also missing half of his right ear, kind of like Springtrap. I mean, like, that's kind of like a given at this point. Like, if you're missing half your ear, it's a reference to Springtrap. But oh my god, okay, this thing is more terrifying than Springtrap. Like, this is what Springtrap should have been. Or honestly, what I think a Nightmare Springtrap would look like I said. This is like a prototype burn trap in my eyes. Or like a melt trap, which is probably going to be the next iteration of Afton. Proto Trap, though, that's a good one. And ultimately, in at number 2, you! Spoiler alert for a fan game, but if I say which fan game, I'm going to spoil it. So if you want to avoid spoilers, click array right now. You can probably just skip to the next number using the timestamps, okay? Alright. I'll give you a chance to do that, and okay, that's your chance. That's it. You're done. Okay. A Shadow Over Freddy's is a FNAF fan game created by FizzNom on Game Jolt. It was released on the 25th of April 2018, and since it was made by the same guy who's currently working on FNAF Plus for the Fazbear fanverse, you know it's bound to be good. The gameplay of Ace Off is a hybrid between the traditional point-and-click game and a free-roaming horror game. The player wakes up to find themselves with no memories in a black and white abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and is tasked with surviving 5 nights and escaping the restaurant. The player is given a different task each night that they must complete before 6 a.m. and without being attacked by any roaming animatronics, obviously. However, the ending to the game has you getting trapped in a springlock suit and being left to rot, meaning that you are a springlock animatronic, which is probably one of the scariest things of all, because I don't know you, but like I'd rather not get spring locked. It's also revealed that you then play as Afton, so it's kind of a fan character, kind of not, but like it's a fan way of having it happen. All right, good enough for me. And finally, in at number 1, Fred Trap. To be honest, I searched this up just for the hell of it because like originally we thought that Afton was using the Golden Freddy suit to kill people, but there are actually Fredbear versions of Springtrap. Fredbear is exactly what you'd expect. Springtrap's look on a yellow Freddy animatronic. The designs are actually really well made and honestly scarier than normal Springtrap for me, and like I don't know why. I guess like for some reason when I just think bears are scarier than bunnies. I wonder why. I think that Scott made William use the Spring Bonnie suit because of how scared Scott was of Bonnie, but that's just idle speculation. That's like my kind of headcanon. There are also even more rundown versions and even scrap versions of Fred Trap, which are already haunting when you don't think about the fact that it would still be William inside the suit being kept alive by the spirit of his dead son. Fred Trap is definitely one of the most strangely horrifying versions of Fredbear or any Springlock animatronic that I've seen, and that's pretty damn impressive. And at 10, Ennard. Ennard is the true main antagonist of FNAF's sister location, composed of the endoskeletons of the sister location animatronics, and he makes a return in Ultimate Custom Night as well, because of course he does. Ennard is one of the many Funtime animatronics, I guess, in a way, but he is also all of the Funtime animatronics. But what makes him terrifying is that he is the most human-like animatronic out of all of them, or at least proportions-wise, and that's just composed of like a wired endo body, and he also has a white mask with a red nose, eyebrows, and a freaking party hat. Dude, why? Why would you give yourself a party hat? There's no point to that. His body is just like wires of all the endoskeletons that he's made of, and he has a red button in the center because, you know, that's the self-destruct. No, it's not. I wish it was. But he also is covered in eyes because he's every Funtime animatronic. Ennard climbs around in the vent systems in Ultimate Custom Night, but unlike the other animatronics in the vents, he's actually difficult to keep track of, and he only appears briefly and when he's moving. He can't be seen in the vents opening, but he will give himself away by squeaking before he attacks. Yeah, you gotta listen for squeaking because you can't use visuals. That's not fun. I don't want to play these games with audio. It's not a good thing. If you want to stop him, you gotta close the vent door, but again, you won't know when he's there. Aside from being one of the creepiest animatronics design-wise though, this dude is just a whole load of worrying crawling through the vents, so yeah, he's getting on the list, absolutely, 100%. In at 9, Nightmare. Nightmare is the main antagonist of FNAF 4, who returns in Ultimate Custom Night. Nightmare is a bipedal black nightmare bear animatronic with his face that has scratches and distorts all over it. His muzzle and jaw has white sharp teeth with blood stains in the corners, near his black gums and on the rest of the inside of his mouth. Okay, his eyes are, there's black eyelids and red irises. He's a giant, pure black bear that is just as dark as night and is where all dreams go to die. I don't know how else to say it. He also has a shiny hat. His body it's like kind of lighter than that. You know, he's like a lighter bit on his stomach, but other than that, he's wearing a shiny yellow bow tie and hat, and then, you know, he has teeth everywhere. And in Ultimate Custom Night, Nightmare Fredbear and Nightmare are a tag team duo that are invisible to the cameras and can only be seen when you reach doorways. God. Okay, and even like then, only their eyes are visible. Yeah, his name is Nightmare. What else do I need to say? He's gonna give you nightmares. He's Nightmare in an 8 Circus Baby. Hello and welcome to Watch Mojo. Today we're counting down the top 10 worst anime betrayals, but it's FNAF. In Sister Location, we thought we finally had the first nice animatronic, okay? It was like basically it was a prototype of Glamrock Freddy, or at least we thought so. At first, Baby gives us tips on how to survive. She helps us get through Ballor's gallery. She seems like she actually wants us to stay alive. And then what do we get for trusting her? Scooped and stuffed, just like a Thanksgiving turkey. This is probably one of the most brutal things to happen to a character in the entirety of the series, and that's built on the fact that we trusted Baby, okay? If we didn't trust her, then it happened, then we would just be stupid, but we trusted her this time. She makes us feel safe. She gave us confidence that we would survive. She prevented us from getting killed, only to use our body as a skin suit and then get kicked out of Ennard not even a game later. This is why I don't trust Glamrock Freddy. Baby is legit one of the reasons I have trust issues now, and that's saying something, or maybe that's the personality disorder that I have not yet figured out. And it's 7, Jacko Chica. Jacko Chica is an antagonist that's exclusive to the Halloween update for Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Well, I guess not an update, but it's a DLC of sense things. She replaces Nightmare Chica in this version, and she also returns in Ultimate Custom Night and Help Wanted. Jacko Chica is a Halloween themed version of Nightmare Chica, which I feel like you could kind of get given that it's the Halloween update. She's distorted, nightmarish, an even worse version of Nightmare Chica with several sharp teeth, wires sticking out from torn parts of her body, and then, unlike her original counterpart, she lacks eyes. And actually like the head of an endoskeleton, instead having just a bright orange light emitting from her eye sockets and torsos, and just every single opening, it has orange light coming out from it. Do you know how terrifying that is? It is the depths of hell walking towards you carrying a freaking pumpkin cupcake. She also carries a jack-o'-lantern instead of a cupcake, but I just said that. When the office in Ultimate Custom Night heats up to 90 degrees, Jacko Chica is going to appear in both halls at the same time. And then once she's fully materialized, she's going to kill you. The only way that you can stop her is by closing the left and right doors at the same time to make her vanish, or I guess having them both closed at the same time. You can't really close both at once, but this won't work if the office reaches 100 degrees or more, so yeah, you gotta, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. That's why I don't play FNAF anymore. And it's 6, Lolbit. Lolbit is essentially just a recolored Funtime Foxy, repainted to match like the FNAF World version of Lolbit, with the only exception being the absence of the hook hand from FNAF World, but I feel like that's a good thing. It has no visible eyelids or eyeballs, and instead it just has glossy black eyes with just big white pupils, and it's covered in white with like orange highlights surrounding its eyes like some weird form of clown makeup. And the worst part about the character is the noise that is associated with the damn thing. The worst part of a jump scare is the audio, okay? It's something that's meant to overload multiple senses in order to give you a shock. The visual of a jump scare without some sort of sudden loud audio isn't really going to do anything, but a loud sound on its own can still scare you. So combine that with her freaking clown fox appearance, like what the hell kind of combination is that? I don't know, okay? And the sound seems to be like a failed connection or something like that. Like it's something that you would hear from a computer crashing in a movie about the 80s, right? Or like a failed dial tone. You know what I mean, okay? With all of that combined, you have one of the most frustrating sensory nightmares that I have ever experienced. So yeah, Lolbit can show up on this list. And speaking of this list, if you like it, why not give it a like? So I know. How else am I supposed to know? Come on. Halfway through into number 5, Night Toy Bonnie. The Night Toy Animatronics are a collection of models from a now deleted Reddit account and are absolutely terrifying. I get that they aren't canon, but Jesus Christ, they're freaking horrific, okay? Night Toy Bonnie being the worst of the bunch. Sure, the others are messed up, but for some freaking reason, Bonnie just sets everyone on edge. I looked through the Reddit comments. it was scary. The original version stands on all fours, with its legs like wider than its like hands, as if it's like some deranged gargoyle that just got home from a shopping spree in the Spencer backrooms. But I don't know, okay? I genuinely don't know how else to describe it, because the only thing that's toy about this is the color scheme. Other than that, it's furry, it's terrifying, and it seems like this is what the security database in the original toy animatronics was meant to prevent, if you catch my drift, okay? Like, this thing is gonna show up to the pizzeria and Chris Hansen's gonna pop out and ask it to sit down. It's so utterly terrifying that I had to include it on this list, despite it not really being a canon character. But if I have to suffer the fate of knowing about this thing, so do the rest of you, and you've all been searching it up a lot, so I was hoping it would help with SEO. In at 4, Ballora. I think Ballora is scary for one major reason, because I don't know Afton's intentions. Yeah, we've gotten to that part of the list, because after all, Afton's a man. He's a deranged one, but even the most deranged men have messed up needs. So maybe Ballora was supposed to be a little more than like a mother figure for his kids, okay? Or at least maybe it was like intended to be more. After all, we know that she does represent someone that William didn't let into his life, whether that be after his wife's exit from his life or after Elizabeth's death, but even then, we can start to get a general idea. But thanks to the fast facts found in FNAF AR, we know that the Funtime animatronics were among some of the first ever animatronics made by Afton. And if this was the case, Ballora would have been around before Elizabeth got caught by Baby, especially if she was made for circus babies. So yeah, after Afton's wife or baby mama or whatever it was leaves him or dies, he finds a woman who wants to help him, but he doesn't let her into his life. So instead, he makes a robot version that won't judge him, and he can probably do other things as well. Because let's face it, William wasn't in the most optimistic of mindsets. And if you think about it, there could be a reason that Ballora is so flexible and why she can't stand on her own. Obviously, so she can help work around the house. What were you thinking? God. And with my executive dysfunction, housework is the most terrifying thing of all. Hence why she's at number 4. Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Burn Trap. Burn Trap is near the top of this list because while some people may consider this a waste, this to me was certainly a surprise. Okay, sure, we figured that Afton could come back in Security Breach, but we never thought that he would come back like this. We figured that there would be like more ceremony to his resurrection, that there was like actually a ritual that had to be performed, and that Gregory was the key or something. But Burn Trap was not what we expected, or at least I didn't expect a new form of Afton to appear in this game. Okay, I figured that we'd have Scrap Trap or like Glitch Trap form into one, and then he would finally have like a normal body back if he took off the suit or something like that. But no, he's a corpse akin to what you would see in a Saw movie. During the fight against him, Burn Trap walks between 3 different rooms on the other side of like the underground pizzeria. Gregory has to watch for him and watch the rooms that he goes into and press each room's corresponding button when he attempts to take control of Freddy, and then you'll light a fire under his ass, literally, and damage him, stopping the corruption attempt. Failure to do so will have Glamrock Freddy taken over by Afton, which will have him basically instantly kill you. But I have had nightmares about this guy, but specifically because of all the wrenches that he threw in to what we thought we knew about the series, but still, he's been in my nightmares, so yeah, he's on the list. Penultimately, in at number 2, Moon. The daycare attendant, otherwise known in-game as Sun or Moon, is a superstar daycare animatronic that appears in Security Breach as a recurring antagonist in its Moon form. As Moon, the daycare attendant is malevolent and aggressive. They constantly chase Gregory once the lights are turned off, and then every hour, not even every other hour, every hour on the hour he is on your ass, and then he attempts to punish him for going past his bedtime. Despite all this though, he still hates messes, and he has to clean them up whenever he sees it. It's like some weird form of like programming OCD. If he sees a mess, then he has to clean it up, but he does so in a creepier way. I can't express it, but honestly, this kind of attitude, like the demeanor that this animatronic gives, in general just gives me a come see what's in my van, I got more fizzy fazz in here vibe, you know? Him and Night Toy Bonnie, they go to the same meetings, okay? I don't know, it makes me feel like a deep-seated anger in the pit of my stomach and just makes me want to beat his brains in until his wires are spilled on the floor, which is fine for me to say in this case because it's an animatronic, and a fictional animatronic at that, so stop trying to use this as evidence against me. And finally, in number 1, plush trap. Yeah, plush trap, okay? The literal embodiment of how people think of children, especially when they don't want to have any. This is probably the most nightmare-inducing animatronic of all time, and I'm saying this on a list that includes one literally called Nightmare, okay? Plush Trap is a smaller plush version of Spring Bonnie, but has a design that's more similar to Scrap Trap, or Spring Trap, sorry. Albeit much more cartoonish and less damaged, considering how he's tiny. He also seems to try to be less menacing in appearance, but only in appearance, because his whole game mechanics are what make him terrifying. The minigame is like a Scooby-Doo chase scene on crack where the player flashes their flashlight at him, trying to stop him as he runs back and forth between doors in a dark hallway. Your goal is to stop him from moving on a painted X on the ground, but that X is literally right in front of you. The whole point of this game is to let the craziness get close to you, and that's what makes it so horrifying. I've done that before. I'm not doing it again. The rest of this game is just about avoiding things, but this specific section, you have to let it come to you. In a 10, Glamrock Freddy. Yeah, I'm calling him out even more. Glamrock Freddy is one of the newer Glamrock animatronics created in Security Breach. He's the Glamrock version of Freddy Fazbear. I mean, I don't really know how else to say it. He's based off like the original Freddy, but with an early UK 1970s vibe, or 80s, I don't know which one had neon, I wasn't born. Similar to Toy Freddy though, he has a top hat, he's made of plastic, kind of like Kim Kardashian, and then he has a thin blue stripe above the brim of his hat. He has a microphone now that has a stand this time. Yeah, that's fancy. He's a bit boxier. He has a light blue stripe on his chest and also at like the center of his jaw. I don't know, he has like a lightning bolt like he's a wannabe Flash. Glamrock Freddy within the game though is Gregory's protector, okay? Attempting to help him survive until 6 a.m. and escape, with the player being able to climb into his stomach, which is referred to as the birthday cake hole on the PlayStation blog, which is a whole other set of concerning questions. And then you can take control of him and hide and evade from other animatronics in certain sections, and you kind of have like a mech that doesn't really fight. However, I trust this man as far as I can throw him, because I firmly believe that we're gonna have another Circus Baby situation that will probably be revealed when the DLC comes out in 2023. Like seriously, there's no way that this many things could have worked out in our favor throughout this game accidentally. No way at all. There's something sus going on here, and I'm pretty sure that it's Freddy. In a 9, Circus Baby. Top 10 worst anime betrayals, but it's FNAF. In Sister Location, we thought we finally had the first nice animatronic, like basically a prototype Glamrock Freddy, or at least we thought so at first. Baby was giving us tips on how to survive. She really seemed like she wanted us to live, but then what do we get for trusting her? Just like my ex, scooped and stuffed just like a Thanksgiving turkey. This was probably one of the most brutal things to happen to a character in the entire series, and it's all because we trusted Baby, alright? She made us feel safe, she gave us confidence, she prevented us from getting killed, only to use our body as a skin suit and then get kicked out of Enter not even a game later. This is why I don't trust Glamrock Freddy. Okay, Baby is legit one of the reasons that I have trust issues, and that's saying something. Like, holy damn, okay? I could have sworn throughout the whole of Security Breach that we were gonna get betrayed, and then Glamrock Freddy was gonna do the same thing. Like, lead us down to Afton and then pull a psych. I've been working for this but he didn't. However, thanks to Baby, I'm still pretty sure that this man is doing a long con. And if you're liking this video and you want to see more, be sure you're smashing that like button. Smash it like I'd smash Glamrock Trika. And make sure that you're subscribed, because YouTube randomly unsubs people sometimes. I don't know, okay? The internet is weird. Moving on. In at 8, Jetpack Balloon Boy. Jetpack Balloon Boy is Balloon Boy's third skin and the third skin of the steampunk event within FNAF AR. The skin was released on July 8th of last year, I think, maybe, after being leaked by Lumx's community tab on YouTube over 12 hours early. I mean, it's still better than Funko leaking the design of the Security Breach animatronics though, am I right? Jetpack Balloon Boy's body shape looks identical to that of Balloon Boy, but now he wears a brown leather coat and has wool inside of it, because you know, it's steampunk. And he also has a large pilot's hat that's got multiple gears, bulbs, other devices, kind of like, you know, this normal steampunk thing. He wears a pair of goggles, because of course he does, and and the right lens is like kind of glowing green, and the left lens is broken, and it actually reveals a robotic yellow eye, as if this wasn't concerning enough. His shoes and arms are also made of bronze and metal, and they're covered with gears because they're really pushing the steampunk thing. I don't think they use that many gears. But now his sign also reads "Let's Fly" with big letters, being made out of scrap metal and also bolted to the sign because again, they gotta drive that point home. His balloon is decorated to look like a hot air balloon with gears, jewels, and curtains covering it. And finally, as his name suggests, he has a large jetpack on his back, which he will use to fly over your house and dive bomb it, because that's what steampunk does, right? Blow things up, I'm pretty sure. It sounds like it would be fun, although the whole "let's fly" thing is giving me Pennywise vibes, and I don't dig it. I don't like it. And at 7, the puppet. The puppet is an animatronic puppet, alright? I mean, it's in the name. And they're also a major antagonist, but also technically a good guy within the FNAF series. First appearing as the main antagonist of FNAF 2, but later on showing their heroic side. It possibly serves as the prize vendor of the newly refurbished Freddy Fazbear's from 1987, although it isn't also implied that it was originally from Fredbear's Family Diner as a security puppet, or at least that was the inspiration behind this version. After the pizzeria was only open for a few short weeks, it was then closed down, but the puppet, unlike the other toy animatronics who were scrapped due to possible malfunctions, was not scrapped, appearing later on in the new pizzeria from the first game, as evident by the dream cutscenes of multiple games, alright? There's a lot going on. And then also appearing as Lefty in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. Lefty was also an animatronic that was intended to capture the puppet, as Charlotte Emily's father, Henry, knew that her soul was actually possessing the puppet. However, it's also widely believed that Charlotte is William's first victim, meaning that overall, they would have like the most significance to the story. Plus, have you seen like the way that it walks in FNAF 2 in VR before it jump scares you? That's creepy as hell, okay? No thank you. No. It's like a weird worm thing. I don't like it. And at 6, Jacko Chica. Jacko Chica is an antagonist exclusive to the Halloween Update DLC for Five Nights at Freddy's 4, replacing Nightmare Chica. She returns also as an antagonist on Ultimate Custom Night, but I mean, exclusive, I mean, in FNAF 4 they're exclusive, and then ignoring Ultimate Custom Night. Jacko Chica is a Halloween-themed version of Nightmare Chica. I mean, I feel like it's pretty evident. She's distorted, nightmarish version of Chica with several sharp teeth, wires coming out of the torn parts of her body. However, unlike her original counterpart, she doesn't have any eyes, and or like an endoskeleton head at all, really. Instead, they have a bright orange light that's coming from within their soul. I don't know. Their eye sockets and torso are like glowing bright orange to kind of fit with the Halloween theme. She also carries a jack-o'-lantern instead of a cupcake because, you know, Jacko, that's kind of how it works. And then also in Ultimate Custom Night, when the office heats up to 90 degrees, Jacko Chica will appear in both halls at the same time. And then once she is fully materialized, she will then jump scare you, ending the game. The only way to stop her is by closing the left and right doors at the same time to make her go away. But this won't work if the office reaches 100 degrees or more, alright? So yeah, we gotta deal with heat. You gotta deal with the heat. If you can't handle the heat, get out of the office kitchen thing. I don't know. I haven't played Ultimate Custom Night. How about doing number 5? Ennard. Ennard is the true main antagonist of FNAF Sister Location. He's composed of the endoskeletons of all the Sister Location animatronics, and then he also makes a return in Ultimate Custom Night because he's just a dick like that. Ennard is one of the many Funtime animatronics, and is like a human-like animatronic with a weird endoskeleton-looking body. He has a white mask with a red nose, red eyebrows, a green and yellow-colored party hat for some reason, because, you know, that makes it less creepy, despite you being a giant robot made of wires. And it also has like a red button and then multiple eyes covering the body. But you know, the top hat, it makes it okay. And it also climbs within the vent system in Ultimate Custom Night, but unlike the other animatronics in the vents, he is difficult to track, appearing only briefly here and there when moving. He can't be seen in the vent opening, but he gives himself away by making like a squeaking sound before he attacks, because you know, that makes it easier. Just close the vent door and he'll go away, okay? But like aside from being probably one of the creepiest animatronics design-wise, this dude is just a whole load of worry, alright? He's crawling through the vents. Man is getting on a list 100%, alright? The FBI is watching him, I hope. God. Nightmare On is an antagonist exclusive, again, to the Halloween Update DLC for FNAF 4, although they do return an Ultimate Custom Night and FNAF VR. But you know what? We don't talk about that. They're exclusive to FNAF 4's Halloween DLC. Nightmare On is a human-like animatronic. I mean, it's the puppet, but a nightmare version of the puppet. And they have a white mask with black tears this time, black lipstick for some reason, white dots for eyes, and a row of sharp teeth that is sharper than me. Alright, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, although in this suit, I do look pretty snazzy. Ah, puns. Their body is black and it's supposed to look kind of like a skeleton with like a large chest and ribs protruding, kind of like me when I'm not wearing a shirt. They have a slender body, like really weird thin legs, and you know what? They kind of just look like a tentacle monster that you would see in certain kinds of exotic cartoons. During the night though, in Ultimate Custom Night at least, Nightmare On will appear if the mouse cursor lingers over them, and then the player has to like avoid the area that they are in, and if you don't do it in time, you're gonna get jump scared and die. Because, you know, that's how Ultimate Custom Night works. So yeah, just don't actually add them to the game. Just don't play Ultimate Custom Night. The only way to win is not to play. Getting close to the end in number 3, Piranha Plush Trap. Piranha Plush Trap is Plush Trap's second skin in FNAF AR and the third skin to be added throughout the Wicked Tides event. He released on June 7th after being delayed for 3 days for unknown reasons, but we actually ended up making a community post about this when he was coming out. And personally, this is like one of the scariest FNAF AR skins ever added. Piranha Plush Trap is hardly like the original Plush Trap. Now they're made of like a more organic flesh-like material, even having like realistic gums. His mouth is littered with long, thin, sharp teeth akin to that of a, I don't know, piranha, and his eyes are extremely small and glow an ocean blue, because you know, that's how all like beautiful people are described in books, right? Oh, their eyes are the color of the ocean, because you know, that's Plush Trap is beautiful. On the sides of his head, he has glowing orange gills. His feet also glow that same orange, and his hands have orange webbing in between them that kind of stretches as he moves, because you know, they're piranhas. That's kind of how it works. Although the webbing is in between the fingers doesn't glow, luckily. His ears are covered in barnacles. His mouth, stomach, and right leg are all covered in like string-like algae. His body is fully covered in spikes, and his torso is also split open, revealing his ribs. And this thing is actually horrifying, and I do hope that we see them in another game instead of just in special delivery, because this is terrifying. This would actually genuinely scare me. This is like the baby zombie of FNAF. But ultimately in at number 2, Nightmare. That's right, they're only at 2. Nightmare is the main antagonist of FNAF 4, alright? They return an Ultimate Custom Night. I don't think that Nightmare specifically is in FNAF VR though. Their face features, like, they have scratches and they're all distorted. It's basically just an inverted Nightmare Fredbear, alright? His jaw has all the white, sharp teeth that you would normally expect with a Nightmare. Got blood stains, his, like, black gums, his black eyelids, white, thin pupils, red irises, and just, I don't know, it's terrifying. I don't know why they thought that this would be okay. This is called Nightmare for a reason. His body contains like a bit, like a lighter bit of gray on his stomach, I guess, and he has a shiny yellow bow tie because that makes everything better. Nightmare Fredbear and Nightmare are basically just a tag team, also in Ultimate Custom Night. They're invisible to the cameras and can only be seen when they reach the doorways. Then once their eyes are visible, you gotta close the doors to make them leave you alone. And finally, in at number 1, the daycare attendant. This mother hubber. The daycare attendant, otherwise known in-game as Sun or Moon, is a superstar daycare attendant animatronic, obviously, that appears in Security Breach and is a recurring antagonist in its Moon form. As Sun, the daycare attendant they're upbeat, they're energetic, they're kind of similar to Funtime Freddy in that sense. They enjoy doing activities with children, such as putting on puppet shows and drinking Fizzy Faz, you weirdo. And when Gregory knocks down, like, the things to distract him, he kind of has to pick them up and he's panicking about it. I don't know why. He's also very serious about keeping the lights on because if they're off, he transforms into Moon. And then as Moon, they're really malevolent and aggressive and they're really angry for some reason. They constantly chase Gregory once the lights turn off, and then they attempt to punish him for, quote, going past his bedtime and being a naughty, naughty boy. Yeah, even though Moon still has a distaste for messes, they gotta clean it up as well, which is actually at least a little bit good, because you can torture him while he's torturing you. But honestly, this kind of attitude that this animatronic has in general kind of gives me a whole like come see what's in my van, I got more fizzy fazz in there vibe, you know? And straight up, I don't like that. It makes me feel like a deep-seated anger in the pit of my stomach, and it makes me want to throw this man to the floor and beat him until his brain wires spill out, which is fine for me to say in this case because it's an animatronic that I'm referring to, although I'm sure the prosecution has ended the video before I can say that. But hopefully my lawyer has unpaused the video right now so the jury can have an oh okay moment like in all of the movies when they start to truly understand my innocence.